Do you think Japan is a marvelous country? I'm going to tell you a few things that might shock you. Do you actually know Japan? I'm sure you've at least seen something about this eccentric country through photos or movies. Japan is known for being a fascinating country with a rich and unique culture, but the reality can be quite different. What do you mean? Don't worry, I'll explain. Stick with us in this video and we'll show you some facts and weird things about Japan that I'm sure will shock you. If you ever visit Japan, you'll come across some really odd stuff. Of course, it's a first world country with high technology and development in various areas, a stable economy, an extremely clean and organized nation. It has a culture that cherishes extreme courtesy, honesty, honor, and respect above all else. But check this out. This exaggerated honor can have effects on society. Over time, honor has been regarded as a fundamental value in Japanese society, influencing various areas such as politics, economics, and social relations. But where did this obsession with honor come from? For centuries, Japan has upheld the samurai culture and the Bushido code of conduct, emphasizing loyalty, courage, and honor as supreme virtues dating back to ancient times. But this honor is so highly valued that it can lead to negative consequences and harmful behaviors like immense social pressure to accept all social or governmental impositions, as well as overwork, and even worse, many people take their own life to preserve their honor or because they can't cope with this intense pressure. Don't exit the video yet. There's much more here that will surprise you. Let's continue with some very peculiar customs and laws that you must strictly follow if you are in this country. But first, I ask you to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Why do we ask this? Some of the Japanese traditions and customs might seem strange or controversial to those who aren't familiar with them. For instance, in Japan, tattoos are forbidden for locals as they're often associated with the Japanese mob known as the Yakuza. For this reason, some public spaces like swimming pools, beaches, and hotels don't allow people with visible tattoos. Look at this controversial topic. In many countries, smoking is allowed in outdoor public spaces, but in Japan it's illegal. The smoking ban even extends to sidewalks and busy streets, which might surprise visitors from countries where outdoor smoking is permitted. And you, being a smoker, would find it strange to be in Japan. And for you, the non-smoker, would you prefer if Brazil was like this, with no one around you smoking? And now let's move to traffic. How is driving in Japan? The traffic laws are strict and heavily enforced. Fines for traffic violations are steep, and drivers who commit crimes like drunk driving could face lengthy jail terms. Also, pedestrians are expected to follow traffic laws and could be fined for infractions like crossing the street outside of a crosswalk or obstructing any driver in any way. They can also face heavy fines for littering in public places. A peculiar custom in Japan is to eat with a lot of noise, which many perceive as impolite. But to them, the sounds of food being chewed suggest the meal is delicious. And if you don't do that, you're being impolite. Another bizarre tradition involves public baths, known as onsen, which are widely popular in Japan. In an onsen, visitors share a hot tub, often without any clothing. While it might seem odd to Western visitors, public baths are a big part of Japanese culture. Okay, at least they shower. Excessive courtesy can be nice for some visitors, but others find it a bit much. It's very common to show a lot of courtesy and respect for others. This can include bowing excessively and respecting elders, even in casual settings. What I'm about to tell you will probably surprise you. You might not know it, but when you were a kid, around 80% of the cartoons you watched were Japanese productions. 2 decades ago, the Japanese were second only to Disney productions. Japanese anime has become a popular form of entertainment worldwide, with an audience that's still growing. And in fact, it's still on the rise today. The evolution of Japanese anime from its inception to the present day, including its early cartoons, has always had a strong influence on Japanese culture. However, it's always been extremely accepted by audiences of different cultures. Another thing that might shock you if you ever go to Japan is the country's eccentric cuisine, famous for its variety, flavor, and presentation. However, there are many dishes in Japan that may seem strange or even repulsive to people from other cultures, but according to them, many of these exotic dishes have health benefits, like one of the most popular ones. Fugu, a fish that contains a toxin that can be fatal and you could die if not prepared correctly, but it's also considered a dish with medicinal properties if consumed in the right amount. An interesting fact you might not know is that popular housing in Japan is extremely small, veritable cubicles, often without any room divisions, and entire families live in them. But why does this happen in a country that's first world with an excellent economy? The truth is that in Japan, the cities are densely populated and the population has a high cost of living. To confront these challenges, many people choose to live in compact homes, which in their view are designed efficiently and functionally, maximizing the available space. Of course, it's a matter of honor for the greater good of society as a whole. But studies reveal that this has created an issue for many living in such circumstances, as the trend of tiny dwellings mirrors a cultural shift concerning consumption and lifestyle. It carries social implications like loneliness and lack of space to host guests, leading many to develop psychological problems and even depression for living in such conditions. But let's revisit some of the more serious and complex issues in the country. Japan is known for its robust work and education culture, and this is evident in the long hours of study that Japanese students dedicate each day. The Japanese education system is one of the toughest and most rigorous in the world. The workload can extend to up to 12 hours of intensive study, and this doesn't even include the homework that is taken home, causing many students to not even have enough time to get proper sleep. Japanese culture highly values education and academic excellence, manifesting in long study hours and pressure. Social pressure and job market competition can encourage or force students to commit heavily to their studies from an early age. But this has negative implications for these youngsters, affecting their mental and physical health. Moreover, students are physically punished in schools and at home if they don't attend classes regularly, without delays, or don't achieve the required grades. The pressure from schools and parents is so excessive that it leads to devastating mental and emotional stress. There are reports of many young people who have taken their own lives because they couldn't tolerate this, just like many adults who have to endure lengthy and exhausting work hours away from their families. There is a serious issue affecting Japanese society, a problem that has been overlooked by the country but has been increasingly growing in a terrifying manner. The high rate of people who take their own life. According to statistics, Japan has one of the highest rates of this problem in the world. What leads to this high rate are factors such as social and cultural pressure, high family and social expectations, exhaustive working hours, which often lead to mental health problems and depression. You'll be totally shocked by this extremely controversial information I'm about to share. The situation is so severe that there's a forest named the Forest of Death in the country where people go to commit suicide. The government, along with local authorities, have been trying to intervene in recent years, spreading self-help posters and contacts of authorities and health professionals all over. Japanese authorities also patrol the area to identify potential risks. The strategy involves carefully observing visitors who arrive alone. Scholars highlight the complexity of the issue, citing different reasons. If loneliness is usually the main cause of depression among the elderly, younger people face difficulties managing stress and financial insecurity. According to 2010 data from the Japanese police, 57% of those who attempted to take their lives that year were unemployed and didn't know how to handle the shame of it. In short, the problem is extremely serious, but also very difficult to solve, because the country itself has a tradition of viewing this act as a matter of honor for the person and their family. For them, it's better for a person to take their life than to face dishonor and not fulfill their duties to the nation. And you, what do you think of Japanese culture? Do you already know or want to get to know this country? Why do you think so many people take their own lives?